evening, everyone. I would like to call to order the Gateway Board of School Directors meeting. It's our study session meeting, and today is Tuesday, January 14th, 2020. Would you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Can we have a roll call, Bonnie? Mr. Caleri.
Here.
Mrs. Cerrucci.
Here.
Mrs. Delaney.
Here.
Mr. Gallagher.
Here.
Mr. Gottman.
Here.
Mr. McIntyre.
Present.
Mr. Ritter.
Here.
Mrs. Warning.
Here. Thank you. Is anyone signed up ahead of time to speak about
No.
agenda items? Okay, is there anyone in the audience who would like to speak on agenda items only this evening? Okay, seeing none, let's move on to Mr. Axelrod. You have the stage, sir. Or Mr. Ewing.
Yes.
Mr. Ewing, I apologize.
That's okay. Jared Gilliam from Axelrod, the auditing firm. Usually we go by ZA. Most people can't pronounce Zelenkowski. They really butcher it, but
That's why I skipped right over that.
yeah, exactly. We performed the audit of the financial statements in the single audit for the school district, and I was just going to review the report with you real quickly, give you a brief overview of the results. For any new board members, just give you a couple of highlights, what to look for when you actually analyze the statements. As always, if you need to ask me a question or you'd like further clarification on something, Mr. Schott has my contact information. You can contact me directly, and I'd be happy to sit down with you and go over anything in more detail if you would like. You should have two reports sitting in front of you. I'm going to start with the smaller one. This is the single audit, and this audit is required of any entity that expends over $500,000 in federal funds. And every school district in the state has to have a single audit, and it's more a compliance audit of these federal funds that the school districts receive. We do a risk assessment, pick out which programs we think are the higher risk, and we're required to test compliance with the requirements of the federal program and also to look at the internal controls and consider the internal controls. There's two letters in here. One is with regards to the government auditing standards, and if we found any weaknesses in internal controls that we were required to report to you, you would find them in this letter, and I'm happy to say we don't have any. The business office and the federal awards department has done a fantastic job. Also, there is a letter with regards to the particular programs that we looked at, and this year it was a Title I program. Again, there are compliance requirements with eligibility, procurement. There are 12 different requirements we have to look at. If we had any findings with respect to those programs, you'd see that in this letter. Again, I'm happy to say there were no findings whatsoever. Also in here, you'll find a schedule of the federal awards that the school district receives. It's listed. You'll see the amount that was received for the year and the amount that was expended. The expenditures is the important part because that's where we based our testing. As long as we have those numbers are good, that's the best starting point we could have. And again, Paul does a wonderful job. I have very few school districts where the business manager can actually prepare this themselves, and Paul does a fantastic job. There's also a schedule of findings and question costs in this report, and I'd just like to say the title is a little misleading. It's more just a summary of what's in this report. If we had any findings or question costs, it would be detailed in here. This is what the regulators pull out when they get this report just to see, hey, did you have a finding or a material weakness to report? They pull out this and look at it first rather than reading the whole report like they should. And the last page is just a summary of prior year audit findings. If we had any resolved, they were reported there, but we did not have any last year. Okay. The thicker report is the audited financial statements of the school district. And the way this report is set up, it sort of goes from a summary to more detail. You'll find our auditor's report on the very first couple pages after the table of contents. And at the very bottom of page 1 is our opinion on the financial statements, and it's an unmodified opinion, and this is the highest form of assurance that we can give on the financial statements. That, again, means that we had no findings. We did not have to make material adjusting journal entries that we weren't expecting to the financial statement, that everything is in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the United States of America and also government auditing standards. Right after our auditor's report is management's discussion and analysis, and this is just a sort of a summary that is written by Mr. Schott. Compares last year's figures to this year's figures, maybe gives some reasons for some increases or decreases, gives a little look towards the future of things that may be happening that may impact the financial statements in the future. It's a good read. It sort of helps you understand the financial statements a little bit more detail of what's than what we can do in the financial statements on our part. After the management's discussion analysis is the government-wide financial statements on pages 11 and 12. And this is a look at the financial statements of the district as a whole. This is where we add in your pension liability that we received from the state, bonds outstanding. We add the fixed assets into the financial statements in these schedules. It gives a broad overview of the whole district as a whole. Following those statements are the fund financial statements and the reconciliations between the fund financial statements and the government-wide financial statements. The fund financial statements are your general fund, your cafeteria fund. It's probably more what you're used to looking at budget-wise. It's a little bit more detailed. The notes of the financial statements follow on pages 23 to 48. We did not have any new disclosures here, which was nice. The past couple years, we've had to add our other post-employment benefits to the district. We've had to adjust net position and net assets for prior years. We didn't have any of that this year, except on page 30, I would like to point out there are a couple new GASB statements for next year that'll impact the school district. Will be fiduciary activities. Right now, basically, we're just showing the account balance, increase and decrease. Next year, it's going to be required to have basically a statement of revenues, expenditures with regards to fiduciary activities. Those are your scholarship funds and student activity funds. So the statements will change a little bit. There'll be a little bit more audit work that we'll have to perform on those statements. But we've also talked to Mr. Schott about it. We're already in the process of figuring that out for next year. Following the notes of the financial statements is just required supplementary information. You'll find a budget to actual schedule for the general fund, and then the other schedules just deal with required disclosures for the pension and the OPEB liabilities. Just a little bit more detail that's required to be in the financial statements. The audit ran very smooth this year. The staff was actually very happy. Again, like I said, it's one of the few school districts that we do where we come in and Paul has schedules for us prepared. Accounts receivable are reconciled, grants are reconciled, schedule of federal awards is prepared for us. It's been a nice audit to work with, and you should be proud of your finance department from our end.
Thank you. Congratulations, Mr. Schott, on a job well done.
Yeah.
You're number one, Paul.
Nobody's better.
If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer them. Again, feel free to contact me anytime if you do have a question, a couple weeks from now, tomorrow.
Not to put him on the spot, but is there any questions right now before he sits down? It's a lot to take in,
Yeah.
but it's great news.
Appreciate it.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Ewing. Okay, Section B, Bills and Financial Reports. Mr. Schott, it's a great lead-in.
Section B, we have Section B1 list of bills listed and included December 2019, which was previously approved. We wanted to incorporate those officially into the minutes, and also for January 2020. Section B2, monthly financial statements for both November 2019 and December 2019. And Section B3, budget transfers for the month of January 2020. We present those sections and statements this evening for the board's review.
Now, did anybody have any questions for Mr. Schott on your first review of his attachments? Everybody's being quiet. Okay.
Any questions?
No questions. That's great. Move to Section C. We don't have any items previously tabled, so that would move us on to Section D. We want to do our action item first.
Yes, we will. Thank you, Mr. Rucci. We do have an action item added to the agenda this evening. Resolved that the Gateway Board of School Directors accepts and approves the personnel agenda item as listed in Section D for the study session meeting of Tuesday, January 4th, 2020. We are asking for approval of the appointment of Melo Brongo Melo LLP to assist with various required legal services as special counsel.
Do I have a motion?
Second.
And a second? Who's so quiet over there? Mr. Ritter made a motion, and Mr. McIntyre seconded that, Bonnie.
Thank you.
Is there any discussion, questions? Seeing none, can I have a roll call?
Mrs. Cerucci.
Aye.
Mrs. Delaney.
Aye.
Mr. Gallagher.
Aye.
Mr. Gottman.
Aye.
Mr. McIntyre.
Aye.
Mr. Ritter.
Aye.
Mrs. Warning. Mr. Clary.
Aye.
Okay, motion carries.
Thank you very much. In Section D for next week's agenda, we have for your review 4 resignations listed. Under leave of absence, we have 12, which have all submitted all the required paperwork. Transfers, we have 4 per the collective bargaining agreement. Under supplemental contracts, we're bringing forward 5 names, 3 athletic workers, and 3 volunteers.
Okay, are there any questions for Mrs. Crump on Section D? And this is a lot for our new board members to take in, so don't be shy if you would like to know something. Mrs. Crump loves to be put on the spot.
If there are any questions, the next couple days,
Since
feel free
we
to.
are having 3 special ed aides retiring, resigning, what are we doing to fill those positions?
Well, we are advertising. Also, with the new collective bargaining agreement that was just approved, we now have the rights to go out and look at third-party companies for substitutes. So we are looking at those this week and interviewing. We did put up some for bid, and we will be interviewing this week also. Those came in late at the last minute, right before Christmas break.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and if there are any questions between now and next week, feel free to reach out to Mrs. Crump or Dr. Short. All right, let's move on to Section E, conferences and conventions. We do have a few.
Thank you, Mr. Ritchie. For review tonight, we do have a few conferences and conventions to discuss. First, the 3 individuals attending the Equity Symposium in Washington, D.C. We also have an individual from our tech department that'll be attending the PSU Mac Admins Conference.
Great. Questions, comments? Moving right along. Section F, administrative.
I had a small question.
Yes, sir.
With respect, it's just for my investigation. Underneath each name, for the conferences, they're all different dollar amounts for the same conference.
It's a great question. Pull your mic when you talk. I'm going to assume that's because somebody's paying the transportation. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's a situation where sometimes people ride together, sometimes people stay in a room together, or so the dollar amount differs.
Simple enough, thank you.
2 of them do have subs. Just 2 of them have subs and one doesn't, so that makes a difference too.
Oh.
Okay, anyone else?
Yes.
We've had that question before too, in other years, not the first. Okay, Section F, administrative report, items for discussion, policies. Mr. Rossi.
Item number 1 is the final approval of the following policies that were placed on public display November 2019, and they're as listed. Item number 2 is approval of African American Odyssey 2020 Pearson Education that was placed on public display beginning in November 2019. And item number 3, approval to participate in the Storytime STEM PACS Computer Science Grant Proposal from the Intermediate Unit.
Item number 4, facility agreements with the Gateway Softball Boosters for the sports complex and Boy Scouts of America, Laurel Highlands Council with the Gateway Middle School Auditorium.
Mr. Shaw.
Thank you. Item number 5, recognition of district booster clubs and support organizations for the 1920 fiscal year. We have 3 additional organizations for approval, specifically boys basketball, boys and girls swimming and diving, and boys volleyball. Item number 6, approve the Tricog Land Bank's notice of intent to acquire 1 Pitcairn property located within the Gateway School District and the waiver of all applicable taxes, tax claims, and municipal claims due against the property as depicted in Exhibit A. Please note that next week, we will be holding a Budget and Finance Committee meeting at 6 o'clock in this room. At that particular point in time, we will have Land Bank representatives on hand who will give a presentation to address the program, where it stands, the future of the program, and just be able to provide an opportunity for the board to ask any questions related to the program. So again, next Tuesday, the 21st, 6 p.m. in this boardroom. Item number 7, approve the printing agreement extension with Herff Jones for the required printing services associated with the high school yearbook in the base price amount of $13,636.80 for the 2021, 21-22, and 22-23 fiscal years as depicted in Exhibit B. Item number 8, acceptance of district donations received for the 1920 fiscal year, specifically from Chief Doug Cole and Officer Mark Kandrak in the Monroeville Police Department, Christmas toys. Daly's Juice, 15 cases of Hugs. Lanea Al-Amin and Jennifer Conklin, $50. Again, through Jennifer Hoffner in the backpack program at University Park Elementary School. Item number 9, approve the renewal of the 5-year charter for the Spectrum Charter School, Inc., with all requested charter amendments for the period January 1st, 2020 through December 31st, 2024, as depicted in Exhibit C. Item number 10, approve the advertisement in the Post-Gazette and the Greensburg Tribune Review and on the district's website for requests for proposals from vendors for athletic trainer services. And item number 11, approval of district settlement. Approve the district settlement of CM Regent file number 228933 with the district's payment of $1,000 to claimant.
Okay, are there any questions in section F?
Number 10, sending this out for bid for the athletic services. Is
RFP,
that, item number 10, is that just standard? Every time their contract expires, it goes out to bid?
It's not standard, but we've chosen to do that at this particular point in time, officially. Last time we had proposals that were given to the district, but we didn't do an official RFP. But given the nature for a service such as this, we elected to recommending to put it out officially for RFP.
Current contract is up on June 30th.
Yes.
So we're advertising. There's been ownership change, I believe, with our current trainer services. So we collectively decided to put that out for proposal. Thank you.
Anyone else have any other questions?
Dr. Rossi, just for clarity's sake, for number 1, changes in policy. My recollection is basically the changes we're looking at are to keep up to date with state requirements and state code, correct?
That's accurate, yes. There's a lot of policy changes, numbers.
Recommendations.
Yeah.
Right, basically I think you guys do an excellent job combing through the policies every year with all the changes at the state level and
Yep.
making sure we're up to snuff and that we don't have an illegal policy. So thank you.
And they're still available on Board Docs for review.
Right.
Yes.
Anyone else? All right, let's move on to section G. There are none in advance. Are there any resolutions by board members this evening?
I do have a
Yes, ma'am.
confession. I believe that I did not print section G out for everyone that's sitting at the table, and that is truly my fault.
But there should be one there.
There should be
Yes,
one there.
yes.
I'm like, where's G?
Oh, okay.
It is not there, so
Want to read it?
You want to read it?
I'm gonna have to, let me grab it.
I have a
Oh,
copy.
you have it?
I have a
Okay,
copy.
yes.
Yeah, we could
That
read
is
it.
truly my fault. I didn't print it with the packet.
We forgive you, Bonnie.
Unbelievable.
That's like the first mistake I think you've ever made in 5 years, so you're,
Thank you.
I'll read it.
I've been here for, I'm on my 5th year, I've
Oh, yes.
never seen Bonnie make a mistake. I've seen her laugh sometimes.
Fine.
Budget things.
All right, go ahead.
Approve the district's assistance with the Gateway Football Boosters' purchase of WPIAL championship rings for the Gateway High School football team in the maximum support amount not to exceed $6,000 during the 1920 fiscal year. Note, the Gateway Football Boosters and Gateway alumni have requested ring sponsors from fellow Gateway alumni and various businesses in Monroeville and Pitcairn. A final support amount required from the district, if necessary, will be determined in February, subsequent to the reconciliation of all ring sponsors who have submitted payments for the purchase of the rings. The board will be notified of the actual support amount required from the district.
How could I forget that? Any comments,
Go get it.
questions? Congratulations, Whipple champs. Happy to help you out. All right. We're moving on to reports. Would you like to go first, Dr. Short, or last?
It's unusual.
I know, I'm trying to change it up. It's a new year.
Officially like to welcome our new board members. The last couple of weeks, we've had an orientation session where they've had an opportunity to meet and greet, put a name to a face, see how the district operates, organizational chart, individuals responsible for certain departments. I'd like to say how proud I was of our team and their performance and the information that they shared out. I came away very impressed, and I'm sure our new board members did as well. Second semester, it's pretty amazing that we are moving in quickly to the second semester. We do have the clerical day tomorrow. So wish everyone best wishes moving forward, and we're a few months away from graduation, which is pretty amazing. That's all I have.
Okay, before I move on, I forgot to ask if there were any residents that wanted to speak on non-agenda items. Forgive me.
Richard? Nothing.
Bob, April? And the rest of the 100 people that are in the room that the audience can't see? No? Nobody's
Bob,
raising their
anyone
hand?
behind you there? No.
All right, let's move on to Mrs. Bungart. Do you have anything?
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Dr. Chaky?
I'd like to invite everyone out on Thursday, January 30th, at the high school for an event, a community event that's entitled A Celebration of Equity Work within Gateway School District. It's going to be an excellent opportunity to come out and receive some updates around our equity work. We really want to partner with the community and talk about some of the things that are happening here. You'll also be able to get a snapshot of some of the professional development the teachers are gaining here at Gateway School District around culturally responsive pedagogy. And also, more importantly, we're in the process now of creating a Gateway School District equity policy. So this is going to be an opportunity to hear from the community and to discuss some best practices and really hear everyone's voice. So everyone's invited. Thursday, January 30th, we start at 7 o'clock in the Gateway High School LGI.
Great, awesome. Dr. Rossi?
Just wanted to let everybody know that kindergarten registration is officially underway, and all the information can be found on our webpage under our district and the registration link.
Super. Mr. Schott, you have anything?
Nothing further, thank you.
Nice job again, Paul.
Yes.
On the audit. It speaks volumes of your work.
Mrs. Crump?
We are accepting applications for extended special ed teacher positions, also paraprofessionals, and we will be announcing a date in February for our next volunteer clearance workshop.
Great. Mr. Gottman?
Nothing at this time.
Mrs. Delaney?
I have a couple of quotes. I usually like to have this in time to end with various quotes. Even though we'll be celebrating Dr. King's birthday next Monday, his birthday is actually tomorrow. So in keeping with that, I have a couple that refer to education. And one of his quotes was, "The function of education is to teach one to think intensively and to think critically. Intelligence plus character, that is the goal of true education." And then another one of his quotes, "The complete education gives one only power of concentration, but worthy objectives upon which to concentrate." So those are just a few, and if you keep in mind with Dr. King's belief that we should be using not just his birthday or his day off as a day and time of service, but any time that we can serve other people.
Well said, thank you for that. Mr. Gallagher?
Yeah. Just briefly, I want to thank everybody that came out that participated in this orientation sessions, and I promise to have all that information memorized at some point in time in my life.
Susan's looking around like, what are you talking about?
System overload. Mr. McIntyre?
Yes, briefly, as chair of the board negotiating committee, I just wanted to inform everybody, we did have our first official meeting with the teachers union. It was a simple meet and greet. Basically, just everybody, both sides getting to know each other and, who the selected teams are to sit in those rooms. And just let everybody know that process is starting, and I think everybody at that table is resolved to get it, a new contract passed as quickly and as easily as possible.
Thank you.
No, I don't.
Mr. Ritter?
Yes, I just want to confirm, Dennis, because I got an earlier version of the flyer about the ramp meeting. It's going to be in the LGI and not the auditorium lobby. Is that true? Am I mixing apples and oranges?
It's going to be the
LGI, 7 o'clock, right?
7 o'clock.
Thank you.
Correct. I'm good.
That's it.
Okay. Mr. Clary?
I just wanted to thank everybody also for the opportunity for the orientation. I'm not going to remember all of that. I'll try. I was truly humbled at the quantity and quality of information that we received, and everybody that participated, it was eye-opening. Thank you, but all very much for that, and everybody took all their time.
Appreciate that.
And with that, that's all I have.
Mrs. Waring?
Mr. Schott, thank you again for another job well done. District benefits from it. And I just want to send out condolences to Carl Akers' family. He passed away recently. He was a former board member, and condolences to him and the family. I should say to the family. That's it.
I would like to wish Mr. Williams get well wishes, as he is fighting the cold. And also thank the people that were acknowledged tonight for their donations to our district. It's greatly appreciated. And with that, I would seek a motion to adjourn.